All right, everybody, welcome back for another deep dive. Today we are heading straight into a fascinating legal puzzle, and it all revolves around this case in Zambia with lawyer John Sangwa.
Yeah, it's a head scratcher for sure.
So John Sangwa, he's a prominent lawyer in Zambia, and he's found himself right in the middle of a case that has a lot of people talking. He's part of this case challenging former President Edgar Lungu's previous election, but, and this is the big but Sangwa, he previously argued against Lungu being eligible for that same election.
Yeah, it's a real twist. To get why it's such a big deal, you got to understand the background. So Lungu, he was going for a third term as president, and that's where the controversy started.
Right, because it wasn't exactly clear if he was even allowed to do that.
Exactly. See, Lungu is saying he hadn't technically served 2 full terms, which, according to Zambia's constitution, is the limit. This sparked, like, a whole debate.
A legal tug of war, really.
Exactly. And Sangwa, he was one of the loudest voices against Lungu's argument at the time, and now he's involved in this new case brought by Michelo Chizombe, who's, well, kind of an activist.
And they're challenging the 2021 election where Lungu won that third term,
Yeah.
right? But they're not just challenging Lungu, it's also the Electoral Commission and even the Attorney General, right?
Absolutely. It's like they're saying, hold on, the whole system needs a closer look.
So where does Sangwa fit into all of this? Because he's not exactly representing Lungu, is he?
No, he's not. He joined the case as what's called a friend of the court, which sounds kind of casual, but it's actually a big deal.
So, like, what did that even mean, friend of the court? Is he, like, giving legal advice on the side or something?
It's a bit more official than that. Basically, he's not representing any particular side in the case. Instead, he's there to offer his legal expertise to the court, sort of like an impartial guide helping them navigate this really complex legal terrain. But it does make you wonder what his angle is, right? Because remember, he was totally against Lungu before.
Like he did a total 180. So what do you think?
Yeah.
What's his game plan?
Honestly, we don't know his exact arguments yet. It's all still under wraps.
Ooh, a legal thriller.
Right. But we can definitely explore some possibilities, like what if he's playing 4D chess? What if he's actually trying to dismantle Lungu's defense, but like from the inside?
Now, that's juicy.
Right, or maybe he's like shifted his focus to something totally different. Like maybe he's zeroing in on how the Electoral Commission handled things, claiming they messed up procedures, which would make the election results invalid.
Wow. So this case has us all looking back at Lungu's time in office, but like it also forces us to think about the future of elections in Zambia, doesn't it? What kind of impact could this have on how things are run going forward?
Huge implications, really. First off, think about the public's trust in the whole election process. If a court decides against Lungu, even if it's just on a technicality, it could make people even more skeptical. And then there's the whole balance of power. If the court sides with Chizombe, they're basically saying they have a lot of power over election outcomes, and that's a big deal.
And this whole thing sets a precedent too, right? Not just for Lungu, but for anyone who wants to run for office in Zambia.
Exactly. This case could literally change how full term is defined in their constitution. We're talking about potential ripple effects for years to come.
It all comes back to Sangwa for me.
Yeah.
Like, what's his end game
Oh,
here?
he's such a wild card. He's this super experienced lawyer offering his expertise, which is valuable and all, but you can't just forget about his previous stance against Lungu. Makes you think,
About what?
Well, about a lawyer's duty to their past arguments, like how much can their personal views change within the law? How much wiggle room is there? It's a gray area.
This whole thing really boils down to a question that's been debated for ages. How much power should courts actually have in, well, shaping election outcomes? It's that constant tension between, like, what's written in the law versus what the voters actually want. Tough stuff.
Yeah, and this case throws those questions into really sharp relief.
So, listeners, what are your thoughts after swimming through this legal labyrinth with us? It's a real head-scratcher. This case, with all its twists and turns, shows how one lawyer's actions can have huge implications. It makes you think about the connection between law, politics, and how we interpret both, doesn't it?